Gauteng Education MEC Matome Chiloane is currently briefing the media. Is expected to announce the start of the 2024 online admission process for grade 1 and grade 8. Let's go live there now.
Annually, we do assessment of the system and identify areas that we need to improve. And the areas vary. That's why now we know that 2024, this system this year will be better. It will operate much better than it did last year, because annually we seek to improve it, and we do a lot of consultation in between. And the consultation is broad. That includes all the school leadership, school governing bodies, and every stakeholder that one way or the other interacts with the system to ensure that it operates effectively. So we have done some improvements to it, including its capacity to take on applications per minute. There has been an improvement with that. What we're doing this year, we're going to have a single application process. What I mean with this application, or what we mean rather, a single application process. Last year, we had two-phased approach. The first one was for learners that were within our system, the grade 7s that were in public schools. We give them first preference to come to apply. Then we opened up for others who were outside the system, the public education system. So this year we're just going to have one process, meaning everyone will apply on the same day. The application process will be open for all the same day, the 15th of June. So it will be a single application process. And that is for both grades, grade 1 and grade 8. The website is www.gdeadmissions.gov.za. I have to repeat, we have done improvements to the system. So its capacity this year will be far much better than last year. I believe that we are able to deal with about 40,000 applications a minute. That is the capacity that the system will have, a minute. And if you look at our system, how we were able to deal with 350,000, we placed 350,000 odd learners. So within 10 minutes, the system could cover more than almost 500,000 applications. So this is how we've improved the system. So it's very effective. So that is our website. Parents will have to create a login credentials that includes username and password. That will ensure that they have access to the system. And once they begin, they need to follow through the process step by step. I'll get to the steps later, but they will have to conclude the process entirely. One issue that we've had most problem with as well, it might seem small, but it's a big issue, is for having a reliable cell phone number. A reliable cell phone number. Parents apply with a particular phone number. Whatever happens in between, they lose the number. We are unable to communicate with them on placement offers and other information that they need. Maybe they might not have completed the application, they will not have submitted all the documents required, etc. So we need a reliable cell phone number. So whichever number that parents are going to put there, it needs to be reliable, and they must ensure that it's always live up until. So if they lose their phones, etc., they need to do a SIM swap, but they will need that number, because that's what we are emphasizing here, that we need a reliable and correct number. In every step, there will be an SMS confirming your application. Every step, confirm that you have submitted your documents. There will be an SMS informing that your application is incomplete. There will be an SMS that this is how far, this is the placement offer. So there will be that constant communication. We are seeking to improve on the SMS so that in between there is greater communication, because the silence between the application and the placement offer can cause a bit of anxiety in parents. So we'll be seeking to improve there. We are discouraging the usage of internet cafes. I mean, not discouraging, sorry, not encouraging, discouraging. My apology. We are discouraging the usage of internet cafes. They are not reliable. I know that there are some areas, especially in the city centers, parents will go into these internet cafes, and they it really became difficult for them. So we have set up working centers. We have set up at our district offices, our schools. So we have set up a province-wide system support for parents to be able to walk in and do this application. So we are really discouraging the usage of internet cafes. As I've said earlier, there are 5 steps to ensure that the application is complete. The first one, as I've said, creating the credentials. Then step 2, you'll have to register your home address details. The step 3, you'll have to register learner details. And we are allowing a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 5 schools. 5 schools. Step 5, of course, is to submit your documents. And this one you can submit in twofold. The first one can be online. You are able to submit your documents online, or you can drop it off at the school. And each time these 2 processes unfold, you will be getting an SMS that confirms that your application has been received, especially the documentation rather. So parents will have 7 days upon applying to submit their documentation. So as I've said, there are 2 processes. You can do it online, or you can deliver it at the school. And the school will do it for you, but then you will be getting an SMS to confirm that your application has been received and recognized within the system. So if you were submitted in the school and 7 days passes and you have not received any form of communication, then you can bring it up. You can go back to the school or go to the district, but you have that recourse in place so that you can identify that you did do this process and you have not received any form of communication. Meaning, what we are saying is that once an application has been done, there will be a confirmation. If there is no confirmation, it means it has not been completed. And in between, you will be getting SMSs to remind you that your application is not complete. Application is not complete. You need to go back and fix this and this. So we will be doing that. We are encouraging parents to target their home address school feeder zones. A school feeder zone is it's an area that is identified by schools as this area that they are going to service. It's not a ward. Because I know sometimes there's this understanding that a feeder zone is because I live in Ward 18, therefore. So it's an area that schools identify in collaboration with other schools within the same area. They identify areas that they will service as a catchment area, as a feeder zone. So ideally, target schools that are within your feeder zone. So that information parents can source from the school. Hence, we are announcing today, which is the 21st of May, the application will be open on the 15th of June. So in between, parents can then consult, do their own research, so that they can identify what is their feeder zone, or where is their feeder zone. So, this is also important. Parents, please read the terms and conditions and accept them. Read it, take your time, read it, and accept. That's quite important. All schools will remain open and accessible throughout the whole period. So there will not be a situation where you will not see a school on a system because of an assumption that the school will be full. No, the schools, all schools, will be available throughout, from the 15th until the 14th, midnight. The schools will be available on the system throughout, so they won't disappear during that period. They won't disappear during that period. Now, documents that will require is placement will be done through a particular criteria which I will talk to, and very important, the availability of space. The documents that will be requiring are the parent and the child's ID or passport, a refugee permit, asylum seeker permit, permanent residence permit, study permit, South African birth certificate, either or. These are identification documents. All right. We'll need a proof of home address. If you are the homeowner, I'll get to the, or a renter, a tenant you are renting. We also require, there will be a set of documents that will be requiring. Proof of work address, if you are using your work address to apply. And your latest grade, the latest grade 7 schools report, as well as that's for grade 8 applications, and for grade 1, we'll require the clinic card or immunization report for grade 1 applicants. I've already spoken to this one, that there are two ways to submit those documents. It's either you upload it online, and then or you submit it physically at the schools. It's quite important that you give us correct information. There's no need. I'm discouraging parents giving us mismatched information as if we're taking chances. No. Give us correct information. And it must match what you've written, it must match the application. This is quite important. So when you're uploading online, of course, the size of the document, you need to compress it. As we've put an example here of 10 megabytes, file size maximum. I've already spoken to 7 days parents will have 7 days from the application, once you start the application process, to complete it. To complete it meaning finalizing the application through the necessary documentation. There will be SMSs, I've spoken to this. And then if there's certain documentation that is missing, we will alert you after 7 days that your application is incomplete. So we will be in constant communication. Hence, we're speaking about a reliable phone number. We will require proof of home address. This is one of the most important documents. The schools will also be verifying the details of the proof of the home address. So that will require. So hence I said, give us correct documentation. Don't fraudulent documents. Don't fraudulent home address. Give us the address where you are. We want correct information here. So if you are a homeowner, we'll require 3 months municipal account. Not older rather, not older than 3 months. Your municipal account, and which is important. Obviously, it will bear the full details of your home address. If you are renting, we'll also require the same, but there's also going to be any extra documents that you'll need to supply. We'll require the landlord's ID. We'll require your lease agreement, which must not be older than 3 months, the physical address, rental pay. We'll require all these documents, all of them listed here. Rental pay slip with full physical residential address, not older than 3 months, and statement of any account in the name of the applicant bearing the full physical residential address when you are renting. So we will require all these documents because the home address is just for the proof of home address. So for grade 1, the parents will be required to select their preferred language of learning and teaching from our 11 official languages. So parents will be required to select from grade 1 their preferred language. And the system on its own automatically will queue them for placement in schools that offer their preferred languages as selected by parents. And that goes as well for grade 8 as well. The parents will be required to select language of learning and teaching, home languages, and additional language. So in grade 8, there will be also an additional language per application, the home language and the additional language. And same, the process will apply for the same, but this time schools will also verify the languages of the learner from the grade 7 report, depending on the schools that they'll come from and from primary school rather. So there will be that verification process that will be done by schools. But it's not, it doesn't mean that it's a criteria to exclude. It's not. It's not, because obviously a child can come from a school that was doing this particular language. Does not mean that that is an exclusion at grade 8. We are not going to exclude children just on that thing alone. Hence, we are giving parents this thing. The verification of the school is just to confirm that how far. It also assists the school to prepare themselves, but it's not an exclusion. You can't exclude based on this, on the language. But ideally, parents, so that we allow a seamless flow, when you choose this home language for the child, consider the language they've been doing from grade 1 up to grade 7, so that it becomes seamless. but it's not an exclusion criteria. So schools must know that we will not be excluding based on this, on the language. This is very important. Grade R. We do have schools that have grade R. So parents, if your child is in that school currently doing grade R, it doesn't mean automatically they are placed in grade 1. Please, 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 please apply. Even if it's at the same school, just go through the same process as every other parent. Apply online, choose the 3 schools or 5 schools that you prefer, but apply. It's not automatic placement because the child is in grade R. So this is very, 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 very important. I have to stress this because this is one of the issues that many parents did come forward, and they do come forward annually and say that my child was in this school already. I already bought uniform. They're already acclimatized to the school culture, etc., etc. So therefore, no. Go and apply like every other parent for grade 1, irrespective. So even if your child is in that school for grade R, just know that you need to apply. So it's not automatic acceptance. So this one is about in between grades. We do have parents that want to apply, and they've got an assumption that the system is also looking at in between grades or other grades. That's 2 to 7 and 9 to 12. No, parents, go to the schools physically to apply for your child if it's for those particular grades. The system is only looking at grade 1 and grade 8. So for other grades, including grade R, you go to the school, you apply at the school. So bear that in mind all the time. We have 22 schools of specialization in our province. So if parents, you want and we are going to be launching more, up to 35 by end of this academic year. We'll have 35 schools of specialization in our province. So if parents want their children in these schools of specialization, they must bear in mind there are admission tests. So as soon as you apply, ensure that you do a follow-up with the school for that admission tests. Because our school of specialization, for instance, they've got maths. They're doing mathematics. There's no maths literacy in these schools of specialization. So there is an admission test. If it's a sports, there's auditions. If it's arts, if it specializes in arts, there will be some form of assessment that is done by the school. So parents, upon applying, go to the school, do a follow-up, ensuring that you are able to allow your child to do this admission test. And that will also be done in that in-between period of the 15th of June and the 14th of July. So it's important that parents do a follow-up, and so parents need to be hands-on during this period to ensure that they are able to work with us so that we're able to place their children in their preferred schools. So for boarding schools, the same applies. The parent, obviously, you need to confirm acceptance, then you can proceed. So the same applies. Upon applying, a parent must then do other follow-ups as well to ensure that they have they are ready all around with what's required for their children to be accepted together in boarding schools. So all public schools, application is online. Whether it's got boarding facilities or not, application is online for everyone. So you can't go because it's a boarding school, you assume that you need to go to the school. No, online. Everyone, so parents must bear that in mind. that even if you want a school with a boarding facility, you need to apply online. So the placement criteria is 5. The first one is home address within the school feeder zone, closest to the school. I've elaborated on feeder zones, that it's ideal that parents target their feeder zone, the school feeder zone located near their home addresses. It's ideal. So we're urging parents to really go to those schools. Secondly, we're looking at siblings. If you have siblings in the school, it's also an addition. But also previous schools. When I speak about previous school, it's also linked to the feeder zone as well, because there are schools in the surrounding areas, especially for secondary schools. They are servicing particular primary schools as a form of feeder zone into that particular secondary school. So we will also be looking at that. Work address within the school feeder zone. We do understand that parents obviously want to go and drop their kids closer to nearer where they work. So that is a third criteria that we look at. Then we look at the home address within 30 kilometers radius, and then lastly, home address beyond 30 kilometer radius. The placement offers will begin from the 4th of September. That's when we're going to start, parents will start receiving SMSs of placement offers. We will come back and communicate this part, but for now, all I can say is that from the 4th until we are done with the last learner, we will be placing learners. And we're encouraging parents to also assist us that if they are getting offers, they've received offers, accept those offers as quickly as possible so that we are allowed to free up the system, free up the space, then we are able to quickly place more learners. So the 4th of September, we are going to be offering spaces to parents. So accept it. As you receive it, accept it so that you can create, because sometimes the parents will receive from the 5 or 3 preferred schools, they can get offer for placement from all of them. And then if they don't accept, the system sees it as occupied. But if they accept one of the schools, then it releases the space for the other 2. So it's important that we parents, you accept as soon as possible. As soon as you get it, act. We are currently dealing with high pressure areas. There are areas within our province where we know that schools are oversubscribed. And so we've done we're doing a multiple pronged approach to ensure that we increase capacity in those areas. That includes, we have a very progressive program that we are doing as a province called the Self-Build Program, so that schools are able to build additional capacity to ensure that we are able to bring in our learners, place our learners into those schools. So we will be doing that to ensure that we deal with overcrowding, oversubscribed schools, and we do have provision for mobile classrooms, and as well so we're looking at multiple things that we can do to ensure that we are able to increase capacity in the existing infrastructure, but also to ensure that we start building also new schools in areas that we know it's a high pressure area, so that we can build up new schools to ensure that we deal with this issue of oversubscribed schools and overcrowding. There's one issue that we've been witnessing over the past couple of years. Some schools, they control, or they manage rather, placement numbers by converting classroom space into specialized rooms. so that they can say they don't have spaces anymore because of obviously the ratio, etc. So from now on, if you are going to convert classroom space into a specialist room, you will have to apply it through us. We must give you permission. If we don't give you permission, that classroom will be opened. So if you are, we don't have a problem. We do want specialist classroom, of course, but come to us so that we really can understand the rationale, because some schools have abused this provision and just said to close out the number of learners for placement. They'll say, no, we don't have any more classroom capacity. All our classes are full and they are here. So from now on, you come to us. We will give you permission to convert any classroom into a specialized specialist room. So from now on, schools, we will not be taking it from you. We will be taking it from us with regard to this, because we need to work together to ensure that we are able to place our learners into schools. So as I conclude with this process, the system has been running from 2015, and I have to say that the system has been improving over the years. We've done a lot of improvement, and to show that the system is actually working, we have provinces that have come forward. They're adopting our system indirectly, and we've been sharing with them the data, so that they also are able to deal. Because initially, in the past, by now, if we are saying the application process is open, parents will queue at school for 2 days, sit there, sleep there. So we can't go back to that period anymore. This time the system is the best. So parents can do this at their own convenient time, at home, at work. They're able to apply for their children and without really any form of potential discrimination. Because you will find that a parent will prefer school, but a parent is far. So we have closed those gaps. And also the system has helped us a lot to also plan and also assess the development patterns of our province. Where do we require to increase and improve capacity? So the system, and also in terms of not only infrastructure but also educators, what kind of services can we put, and also now, like we've spoken about the schools of specialization, we know the patterns. Where do we select the schools? So the system has really assisted us a lot as a department to plan, and it's got 99.5% placement rate. 99.5% placement rate. I have spoken about this earlier, that in 2023 we've managed to place 350,000 odd grade 1 and grade 8 learners in our public schools. So we will be having 80 decentralized working centers. They'll be located across the province. We will communicate where they are, but majority, of course, will be in our within our provincial strategy, in our township areas, in our informal settlements and hostels. We will have those working centers so that we can allow our parents to access. In addition to these 80 decentralized working centers, we will have young people assisting, volunteers working to assist parents to apply. We have 47 libraries across the province, provincial government libraries, and as well as other municipal libraries that we are working with. Parents will be able to go in and apply, as well as all our district offices. Our head office will also serve as working centers, plus schools. So all the schools will be serving as working centers as well. So parents, you can go to the school and apply there. So So we've created a huge infrastructure so that no one gets left behind for this opportunity. So we're doing everything. So we will be communicating. There'll be a lot of information that we'll be providing in the next few days and couple of weeks up until the 15th, so that parents can then be able to see what they need to do, where they're going to go, etc. We have noted with concern retention of learners. We are not saying if a learner has failed, should be pushed up. No. We are working on different strategies to ensure that we assist schools, if needs be, give them the additional support so that we really get our learners up to that state so that they can be able to progress to the next grade. But it is an issue as well, because a large number, if they fail, then they occupy the seats. So we don't want that. So we want learners to work. We want parents in this regard. Let me just take it home. We want parents to work with the learners, to work with the school, so that we get our children right and they are able to progress and pass. So these ones will require you to be hands-on to ensure that our learners gradually move up the grades, because this it impacts on the capacity that we will have to ensure that we place learners. So we want to work with you, but we will be undertaking a process to engage stakeholders to ensure that we deal with this situation. So we're not at a pass one, pass all. We're not saying that, no. Every learner must get what is due. If they work hard, they pass. If they don't work hard, obviously we can't do much. But let's initiate a process that ensures that we get our learners right so that they're able to progress. So this is one of the areas that's been impacting. For the past couple of weeks, there have been quite a number of incidences that we've been experiencing in our schools. That includes high gangsterism prevalence, especially in our hotspot areas. These are communities that are largely riddled with a lot of crime and gangsterism, and in some instances it finds itself into our school facilities, because a school is always prone to what is its surrounding. It's not immune. On Tuesday, the 16th of May, we had a learner from Ahatuto Secondary School being stabbed by another learner. The learner passed on. The other learner is currently obviously in incarceration. It's a very concerning matter for us, because it shows that there's a lot that we should be doing here. So we've been doing a lot of follow-ups with the law enforcement areas. So in the next few weeks, we'll be running a very strong safety strategy implementation to ensure that we get our schools right in those areas. And mind you, it's not all school, I have to repeat. These continue to be isolated incidences. However, it's one too many. We can't have any learner losing their lives, because it's a loss of the future. It's a loss for the family, it's a loss for the system, it's a loss for our society. So we can't, especially in this way. So we will be working with multiple stakeholders. That includes, amongst others, educational visits, especially in those areas. Identified learners that we know. These ones are, because schools do know which are problematic learners. We know them. So those particular learners, that include prison visits, police station, that includes collaborating with community policing forums, and the expansion of Adopt a Cop program. We'll be training our school-based safety committees. As I've said, it's not all schools. We've got 225 schools that are in high-risk areas. We've started training from the 17th of February, And more important, we are going to be conducting a lot of search and seizure operation at identified high-risk areas. So those schools we are going to enter, we are going to search. A few weeks ago, our premier launched the wardens. So we will be getting a batch of those wardens into our schools, especially schools in these high-risk areas, to ensure that they assist us in patrolling and also conducting this conducting this intervention program. So there will be a set of intervention that will be undertaking in the next few weeks. In fact, immediately, we have already started. Let me not say because it might assume that we are still thinking. No, we're not thinking. We're already implementing it in certain areas. So we are going to escalate it. So with the wardens, the search and seizures, and so forth. So, and those learners who are caught with some form of whether it's weapons, whether it's drugs, then we'll find another recourse, because we are not saying we're going to get them, and we need to create a space and an opportunity for our learners to be rehabilitated. So we will be doing that. We will be getting our schools right, especially those schools in high-risk areas. Because unfortunately, there are areas that are like that. So, and more importantly, obviously, we need to have an intense advocacy program. And also, this also is linked with bullying. Bullying is a very big problem. It's a very big issue, and this one cuts across. It's not an issue for high-risk schools in high-risk areas, across. So we will be embarking on a massive campaign, anti-bullying, and want all schools to work with us. Give us the bullies. We want the bullies so that we can fix them. Because bullying is also linked with, we've been experiencing also a significant increase in suicide and attempted suicides by our learners. Obviously, that goes beyond. Sometimes the situation at home, sometimes it's from the school, sometimes it's socially after school. So there are multiple factors. So we want our schools to be very vigilant. Hence, we'll be undertaking a lot of profiling our learners so that we understand from time to time. And we are urging schools that they have capacity to ensure that get a profiling of each learner. From time to time, if you have capacity, once a term, get a counselor to speak to learners so that a learner can speak, and then you are able to know this is the state of them. So that if there are changes, you are able to identify it as a school, that this learner potentially could be swaying in this way. Yeah, so we need to work together. We're already collaborating with our sister department, the social development as well as health, to embark on a multi-pronged approach to ensure that we also get our learners, giving them the additional support they would need. So in conclusion, the application is open from the 15th of June, 15 June 2023 at 8 a.m. and it closes on the 14th of July, midnight. Follow all steps. There are 5 steps. Ensure that you get that SMS. The key thing is that SMS. Let's say your application has been received and you're fully complied. Then from there, we will take it from there. As I've said, the 4th of September, the first placement offers will be done. So with that said, thank you very much. Just rest assured that as a province, we are doing our utmost best to ensure that all our learners will be placed. So we will be placing learners irrespective. So that's what we are going to do. So I can't say that parents need luck. You don't need luck. We are going to place your child. Just follow the steps that we have outlined. And thank you very much.